What do you
Dude,
got there?
You are not going to believe what I bought today at the local pawn store.
What'd you buy?
Okay, so I went to the pawn store, the one in Phoenix, and the old man told me that if I buy this gem, it will grant me any wish that I want. And he actually gave me a choice too. It was between this and a little furry creature that I guess multiplies when you get it wet or when you feed it after midnight. But I went with this because I have something to wish for. I'm gonna wish that we get a really good horror movie to review today. Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay. I wish and...
For centuries, he has remained hidden, watching, waiting. And now, he is coming. He knows your secret hopes. He sees your private dreams. And he can grant your every desire.
Well, I'm not a...
Okay, so not exactly what I was expecting, but I mean, at the very least, at least it gave us an enjoyable movie to review today.
Yeah, that's true.
And with that, today on Round the Clock Frights, we're going to be talking about one of our personal favorites, the 1997 cult masterpiece Wishmaster, directed by Robert Kurtzman and executive produced by none other than our man Wes Craven. This is one that we've actually been wanting to talk about for a while because, let me just say this, it's not the greatest horror movie in the world. In fact, it has a lot of cheesy aspects, but there are just so many things about this movie that are enjoyable as hell.
Exactly, yes.
So, Kim, just tell me, how did you first discover Wishmaster?
I discovered it through a friend. Like, she knew that I was like a huge, like, Freddy Krueger fan, and I liked Wes Craven, so she was watching it one day, and she was like, I think Wishmaster would be something that you would enjoy. You should check it out. So I went, bought it. I was like, okay, we'll give it a try. Watched it, and I actually really enjoyed it. Like you said, I mean, it has some cheesy moments, but it was overall really good. Like, I like the concept of what they brought to it.
And I'm really glad that you brought up Freddy Krueger because, as stated, this was executive produced by Wes Craven, and you could have a marathon of like all the supernatural movies that Wes Craven was involved with. So you could pair this with something like A Nightmare on Elm Street or Shocker. Mm-hmm. All these movies feature supernatural villains, and I just have to say there are three things that I just really appreciate about this movie. One is the amazing practical gore effects, courtesy of Greg Nicotero and Howard Berger, some of the best special effects artists in the business. Number two would be the lead performance by Andrew Divoff, who plays the evil Jinn in this movie. He has this magnetic charisma that is just so enticing, and it's honestly hard to take your eyes off of him. Although I will say this, I hadn't watched this movie in a while, and seeing him on screen, he kind of looks like a cross between Ryan Reynolds and Ian Glenn, who play the Knight in Game of Thrones, kind of their love child.
You can't see that.
I would love to see Ryan Reynolds play an evil genie.
All right.
Like in the future. Maybe like in one of the Deadpool sequels.
I remember a certain potentate whose last party was talked about for centuries.
God, how I'd love to host a party like that.
I wish to be beautiful forever.
Even if it kills you.
As you wish.
And the third reason why I enjoy this movie so much is the creativity. Like, we can even just start with the opening scene. So it opens in ancient Persia, where essentially you have Disney's Aladdin if it was incredibly gory and R-rated.
Yeah, I would actually break it down like that, yeah.
And, just like some of the stuff that goes down in this opening sequence, I mean, it's like you're watching a Hellraiser movie on steroids, because what happens is that this king or sultan, whatever, has made a wish to see something truly spectacular in his palace. So we see all these incredible sights, like there's this man who turns into a snake.
Oh, yeah. And then you have the one where the guy's face is getting ripped off by hooks.
Yeah. And then there's also a moment where this guy's skeleton just like bursts out of his body, and it looked
yeah, that was kind of cool.
It looked like a classic Ray Harryhausen stop motion effect, which was amazing. But yeah, and then I'm assuming the Sultan's right-hand man, like his Jafar, traps the evil Jinn inside this red ruby. And there are similarities to Hellraiser. You have this supernatural entity who gets trapped in this singular object, and if you get a hold of the object and you unleash this evil spirit, then you're pretty much screwed.
Yeah. And then you have to really watch what you wish for, because even the slightest thing gets kind of it backfires in the worst way. It could be something so innocent and it'll just backfire.
I would say this is one of my favorite bad horror movies of all time, because you have movies like Troll 2, Silent Night, Deadly Night Part 2 that are just so incompetent and just so much fun to watch. And I would say Wishmaster belongs in that category because the acting for the most part in this movie is horrendous. Mm-hmm. Especially by the lead actress. Her name is Tammy Lauren, and her wannabe boyfriend, whose name is Josh. Yeah, Josh gets fucked in this movie because what happens? We're introduced to this woman who doesn't want to lose him because he's the only friend.
She ultimate friend zones him.
Oh yeah, she friend zones him hardcore. He is trying to get her out on a date, but she says that she just wants to go out to a baseball game and eat some hot dogs, but he wants to treat her to dinner and a movie. But just the ultimate friend zone.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I thought when I'm like, oh man, she just friend zoned him.
Mm-hmm. But basically, what happens is they get a hold of this gem, courtesy of Robert Englund.
Mm-hmm. Special guest star. Well, he wasn't really a guest star. He had a few parts in it, but yeah. You
want to tell me how they acquire this gem in modern day?
So pretty much, Robert Englund's character, he comes upon this a construction site.
It's like this shipping yard.
Warehouse.
Shipyard,
there you go. And he's got this big old case where it's got this statue in it that he's been wanting to get his hands on.
Yeah.
And they're basically trying to lower it down with the crane and stuff like that. And then the one guy that's basically operating the crane is drunk as heck. And he, when I guess the one guy's yelling at him oh, you need to be careful. And then apparently the guy lets go of it, and then it comes down and just splatters him all across the...
And I just have to say this, the worker who's operating the mechanics, as they're as they're trying to lower this huge crate, onto the ground, who the hell hired this guy? Because he's literally drinking on the job as he's...
Exactly.
As he's working this crane.
And then this guy's just pissing him off by yelling at him. Obviously, you see him intoxicated. I wouldn't even want to mess with it, but okay.
Ted Raimi, another horror cameo. Love seeing Ted Raimi in this. But yeah, Robert Englund is upset because the statue gets destroyed because this worker was stupid and decided to drink on the job.
And who cares that the guy died? His statue got ruined, but...
Oh yeah, I mean, human life, who cares about that shit? It's all about...
This ancient artifact.
So basically what happens is that Tammy Lauren, she gets her hand on the gem because she works at this lab where they study gems. I think they use the term gemologist, which I don't know if that's an official scientific term. Gemology? Right? I have never heard of that before. I
haven't heard of that either.
But her friend Josh is asked to study this gem, and he accidentally unleashes the djinn. And okay, one of my problems with this movie is that the design of the djinn isn't incredibly intimidating to me. In fact, he reminds me of an old episode of Goosebumps called The Haunted Mask.
Yes. Oh my gosh. And that was what I was thinking too. Is the Goosebumps episode when she gets the mask stuck on and it gets brought to life. And yeah.
But the actor Andrew Devoff is buried under layers of makeup, and he is giving it his all. His performance is very enjoyable. His voice can sound very menacing, and what happens is that he hits the streets and he starts collecting souls. He collects the soul of this homeless man who wants to get revenge on this convenience store owner who's being a dick to him.
Pretty much, yeah.
He collects the soul of this police detective.
I think what I really like about how he collects the souls is the way that people make the wishes, and you wouldn't expect the outcome. Well, obviously the homeless man, you knew how that was gonna get played out when he made the wish. But some of the other ones, the woman in the was it the jewelry store?
No, it was the clothes store.
Clothes store, yeah.
He's in his human disguise, and he goes to this clothes store, and he ends up buying a suit from this woman. The woman says that she wants to be beautiful forever, but it's kind of a monkey's paw effect because whenever somebody makes a wish, they get the opposite of what they really wanted. So he turns her into this lifeless mannequin so that she can stay beautiful forever.
Which, I mean, he gave her what she wanted.
Would you like to escape?
No!
Beg for your life.
Help me!
Pray for your soul. But whatever you do,
Ready to play?
don't make a wish.
And another really appealing thing about this movie is that it features a number of cameos from these big horror names.
I know.
We mentioned Robert Englund, Ted Raimi, Kane Hodder.
Yes!
Will you please describe Kane Hodder's death in this movie? Because it is
It's kind of funny.
nothing less than incredible.
I thought it was kind of funny too, though.
What did they do to
So
Jason
he's
in
basic-
this movie?
So he basically plays a security guard for this this one guy that the Jinn is pretty much trying to go to see. And, you know, he comes up there and he's like, do you have an appointment? Well, he does not have an appointment. So he's trying everything he can to get basically this guy to let him in. And then the guy says, no, what I really want is for you to leave. So obviously the Jinn's like, oh man, he felt defeated. He's, you know, having to pull himself away, walk away. But then all of a sudden he had to come out and say one more thing that just turned the Jinn around to do what he was coming there to do. And he told him, he goes, no, the time that I let you in is if you, how do you say that, walk right through me? You'd have to walk right through me.
The only way you're getting in here is if you walk right through me.
Yeah, so then he pretty much turns Kane Hodder's, did I say his name right?
Yeah.
His character into basically the glass door, and he just walks right through him.
And okay, a very effective comedic moment is when the Jinn is talking to Kane Hodder, and Kane Hodder says, you know, I want you to leave. And so the Jinn just turns around, and, you know, he is... You know, he's being forced to leave, but you could just tell he doesn't really want to because he's trying to get his body to stay in place, but he has to follow the rules of the game.
Yeah, exactly. That's what made it funny was that part because he's like, oh, crap, like, I gotta go. And then, of course, Kane Hodder's character had to open his mouth, and he was like, all right, well, here we go then.
So ultimately, it wasn't horny teenagers who defeated Jason. It was an evil ancient Jinn.
Yeah.
And later we get a cameo by the always amazing Tony Todd, who plays the doorman at this luxurious party.
I totally forgot he was in it, and he did a number of movies too. Like he did the Final Destination movies. I always remember him from the Final Destination movies.
Oh yeah, whenever he pops up in a horror film, you know, it's really cool.
But you expect, and he's like got the total opposite from his normal, you know.
Yeah, because he plays this doorman, and then Jinn asks him what he's always wanted, and Tony Todd tells him that he wants to escape from his job. And so, in the next shot, you see Tony Todd in the background. He's been encased inside this water tank, and, you know, he has these chains around him, and basically he has to escape from the water tank in time.
Oh gosh, yes.
Because according to the Jinn, Houdini did it in 2.5 minutes, so he has a shot. But another great thing about this movie is that you have all these recognizable horror actors, and like even the ones who have played these really famous villains in the past. Tony Todd played Candyman, Robert Englund played Freddy Krueger. You get to see them killed off in hilarious ways in this movie.
Oh yeah, because you also forgot about Robert Englund. He ends up dying in this too.
Oh, and the party scene at the end, which is another example of this movie's creativity, because the Jinn infiltrates this hoity-toity party at the end, and Robert Englund tells him that he wants to see spectacular sights. And so he basically reenacts what happened at the beginning of this movie. All these rich socialites are torn apart in all these grisly creative ways. Like this one guy is strangled to death by this piano wire.
Oh yeah, that was... Oof.
And the effects are really amazing.
Yeah.
They really are.
Like, I also really enjoyed that scene at the end when, you know, basically it comes down to the Jinn and Tammy's character face to face, and she finds her sister trapped inside the painting.
Which is a callback to a scene earlier in the movie, because apparently her character once saved her younger sister from a burning building.
And then their parents ended up being unfortunate and dying in that fire.
So she essentially figures out a way to defeat the Jinn. She wishes that the dock worker had not been drinking on the job that day. And so everything is reversed. And you could argue, well, this makes the movie entirely pointless because they go back in time. Everyone is safe. No one has been harmed. The Jinn is stuck inside its gem again.
And it was like nothing even ever happened.
But for me, the ride was enjoyable enough because, like I said, there are some very creative moments in this movie. You could write it off as a Hellraiser ripoff, but I thought the filmmakers brought enough to the table and gave it their own unique spin.
And it was Wes Craven doing it. I mean,
Yes.
Wishmaster, careful what you wish for.
So yes, Wishmaster is an enjoyably schlocky movie. It's the kind of movie that honestly you could watch with your friends and have a really good time because of the amazing practical gore effects, the hammy as hell performance by Andrew Divoff as the villain. And if you're a Wes Craven purist, you can watch this and just see another example of him bringing another supernatural villain to the big screen. So yes, guys, those are our thoughts on 1997's Wishmaster. And now, I'm not going to lie, things might be a little slow for a while because we don't really have too many big horror releases coming up. We have the Black Christmas remake. I know there's a movie that you've been really excited to review, and I just happen to have a copy of it right here.
Krampus.
We will be reviewing Krampus along with Black Christmas, the original 1974 film, Silent Night, Deadly Night Part 2, and the new Black Christmas, released by Blumhouse.
Ho, 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 bitch.
So yeah, those are all of our upcoming projects, and look out for a special project that I'll be releasing next week. It's something Star Wars related, and you might be asking yourself, you're doing something Star Wars related, that doesn't belong in the horror genre. Well, you'll find out next week what I have planned, because let's just say that I don't like sand, and I'm going to do a video about Anakin and Padme's romance in Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith, and I'm going to give it a horror movie spin because she is so beautiful.
Oh my goodness.
Thank you again, guys. If you like this, go and subscribe to our channel, Round the Clock Frights, and just be careful what you wish for.